Welcome to Co-Work Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. I'm Catherine Raymock.
And I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And we're a show for the modern entrepreneur. Each week we interview two company founders who want to start by thanking our major sponsor, Impact Hub Santa Barbara, and also Montecito Bank and Trust.
Suzi Schomer is here today. She's a wealth strategist and vice president over at Montecito Bank and Trust.
And also Jamie Lerner will be joining us. He is the founder of Union Coworking, and we'll talk to him about that. They actually have 5 locations, and he is traveling into Santa Barbara to be here on today's show, so we are just thrilled. All right, generally, we take a look at some local business events and then also national business events. Of course, we're going to be talking about Facebook, but first, a couple of new openings in Santa Barbara for restaurants, bars. One just opened Lower State Street on Monday, Finney's. It's got great branding. I don't know if you've seen it. And
across from Hotel California.
You got it, yeah. So there's sort of a soft opening. I think that was one of the days, the first day they opened, they had a cruise ship in. So I was talking with the owner who's got another one down in, I believe in Thousand Oaks somewhere. I said, perfect time to test things out with people that are just coming in for the day.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Lots of new restaurants coming to Montecito. Franklin and Crab and Company opened last Friday, and they're part of the Scratch restaurant group. And Scratch is going to be opening very soon. Also in Montecito, Renault Bakery's coming, The Noodle Shop, Artisanal Coffee, and Bettina Woodfire Pizza, and Merci to Go. All openings.
Have you gone to Crab & Co. yet?
I have not gone.
Okay, I passed by the other night. It looked very, very busy. Okay, speaking of busy, Mark Zuckerberg is busy at Capitol Hill. And I don't know if you saw this. I was just watching his testimony just a little bit ago. And as he was testifying, word came in that Alexander Nix, who is the CEO of Cambridge Analytica, actually stepped down. So you said you were surprised it took so long for that to happen.
What was interesting to me, one of the things about the testimony is Zuckerberg is so current on internet and the gig economy, and a number of the Congress people, I don't think they fully understood what Facebook is and what it does.
I completely agree. And
I
don't know unless they're crafting new legislation. So to what end are these discussions?
So maybe they should bring in some 15-year-olds to help them out with.
Maybe they should. I don't know if you got this one. Well, if you actually did get this one. If you did, then you are somebody whose data has been mined on the Cambridge Analytica Facebook. I think 87 million users. Facebook is actually starting to send those notifications out to people whose information was mined, and basically it's an apology, as we've heard. Some people call this Mark Zuckerberg's apology tour on Capitol Hill, but they're actually sharing the information and saying how it happened, and I haven't received one yet, so
I find it a little odd because I feel part of going on Facebook is saying I want to share my information.
Yes, to some extent.
And some people hit the privacy button, but a lot don't.
Yeah, and did you hear that Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak was the latest one to shut down his Facebook page? So he did that.
Now that bums me out.
Yeah.
I've got one less friend. Yeah. Hey, WeWork is opening 6 out of 10 locations in D.C. They're now allowing dogs. They're not the only one. Alexandria in Georgia is also opening a 75,000 square foot pet-friendly facility. And members say this is a huge perk because it reduces pet sitting and walking fees, and it lowers their stress. And even the people who don't have dogs, generally, they're liking it.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to Jamie about that because I saw that they allow that also.
Do they? Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
All right.
Maybe he'll bring his dog.
Yeah, maybe he will. Other business news. Do you know those stickers on gadgets that say the warranty is void if removed? Have you ever seen those?
Yes.
Well, apparently now there is a bill underway to make those illegal. The FTC has written 6 companies to warn them about using those and saying that it's not correct, even if you do remove it.
Do you know what the reason was for having that in the first place?
I do. I think it was so that you didn't bring it to somebody else to repair it, Was that the original reason, or
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a trick question.
No,
I thought you knew the
it was
answer.
a real question. I didn't know.
How about the coming back of glass milk bottles, at least in the UK? Dairy farms,
here
firms
also
across
for a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. They say the largest demand in milk bottles since the start of 2018.
I always get my milk in milk bottles.
And do you get it delivered to?
No, I haven't gone that far back in time. No, but I keep the milk jar and then I wash them and return it.
Oh,
yeah.
You're such a good citizen.
Yeah.
You are listening to Co-work Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. Catherine Raymock and Jane Walker-Wood. And we are going to take a short break. When we get back, we will have our UCSB professor and business author, John Greathouse, here answer your questions. He's up next.
What's that?
This? The newest online business banking around.
Can you initiate wires and approve transfers?
Yes.
Pay bills?
Check.
Cash management?
Of course.
All business, all online, all on your phone.
You bet. My computer, too. It's Montecito Bank and Trust's new business online banking. It works as hard as I do.
Huh. Montecito Bank and Trust.
You got it. Montecito Bank and Trust. Behind every great community is a great bank. Montecito.bank. Member FDIC.
Hi, it's Catherine Raymock. Are you buying or selling a home? See Compass Realtor Terry Ryken. I went to Terry because of his reputation and experience, but was quickly taken by his genuine enthusiasm. It's that combination that truly sets him apart. Terry specializes in properties in Montecito, Hope Ranch, Santa Barbara, and Santa Ynez Valley, and has 39 years of experience as an agent and broker. There are so many realtors to choose from, but only one Terry Ryken. Find out for yourself. Google search Terry Ryken.
Hi, I'm Dan Farrick, Managing Director of the Impact Hub Santa Barbara. Come visit us and find out why co-working spaces are booming. Our 2 locations in the Funk Zone and downtown Santa Barbara offer private offices, permanent desks, and a variety of co-working memberships starting as low as $60 a month. Mention Co-work Radio when you book our tour, and we'll give you 10% off your first 6 months of membership. Join a community where you can live and work smart. Go to ImpactHubSB.com or call 284-0078 to find out more.
Welcome back to Co-work Radio. I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And I'm Catherine Raymock.
And we are here with UCSB professor and prolific business author John Greathouse. Please email him your questions at askjohn@coworkradio.com and listen to him on our website, iTunes, iHeart, and YouTube. How are you doing, John?
Awesome.
Hey, John, we have a question from Kalu.
Ooh.
And
is that how she pronounces her name?
It's a he.
I like that name.
It's a he.
Oh,
Oops.
Kalu.
Sorry, Kalu.
He wants to know, how does a company turn their lease into a money-making? Because he read an article that you wrote about Citrix, and he says he's not sure how to approach his landlord.
So, just as a backstory and get some context, the Citrix, which is a company that I used to be associated with, they were coming into a very large building, and they knew that once they leased that building, the intrinsic value of the building would go up just because of their anchor tenant and they're stable, et cetera. And they knew that the improvements they were going to make, the leasehold improvements, would also increase the value of the building. So they went to the landlord and they said, look, we love this building, we're committed to moving in, but we think we are going to increase the value of the building. So if you sell the building within 10 years or something of us leaving, we want to share in the upside value increase of the building. And they were able to negotiate that. The building was subsequently sold, and they made a lot of money. And I think it was a fair exchange because they did increase the value of the building, and the landlord recognized that. That's not going to work, obviously, for every startup. You can't walk in as a 5-person
I normally think of an anchor tenant as being something that's going to be a draw for people.
Yeah.
Such as if you put a Saks, if people are going to come shop at Saks. But,
well, this was a tech like a tech center.
So, okay.
So knowing that, I didn't make that clear. So knowing that Citrix is in
that
this,
wouldn't work on the local Macy's mall.
No, yeah. So, but I think there is a lesson we can take from that. So even if you're a 5-person company, you may not be able to bully your landlord into helping you in that regard. But there's a nice message here that I like to share with my students. Excuse me, and that's playing long ball. So What I mean by long ball is look at your negotiations not as 1 or 2 or 3 years, but look at them as many, many years out, and ask for something that the other person can freely give because it costs them nothing. So that landlord, if that building hadn't sold, or if it hadn't sold for an appreciable amount more, really wasn't out anything. Citrix wasn't saying pay me, because they were just saying if it sells, and if it sells for more, we want to share.
Now, what if you're also in a lease? Because I know right now in Santa Barbara and Montecito that business has been slower since the mudslides. Can you go to your landlord and renegotiate
Absolutely.
that lease? Now, how do you do that?
That's something that people
because I've talked to a lot of business people, and they're not even getting a deduction on the months they were out of their property.
So you can renegotiate everything. So in the dot bomb of 2001, we were in some really bad agreements that made sense before those crashed. It didn't make sense afterwards. I picked up the phone and I said, hey, look, this isn't working for us, and there's no way we can continue to pay you. And we got out of those agreements. Now, we did it in the right way. We did it in a stand-up way. We didn't just renege. We renegotiated them. So I think being upfront and communicating with your landlord and saying, would you rather me go out of business and you get nothing from me?
That's a good point.
Or would you rather me stay in business and get something from me? And then when I come out of this recession or, this retail conversion that we're in right now, I will still be here for you. Or you can have an empty storefront.
Well, yeah, some of the store owners I've talked to, they've said, well, I can't renegotiate because it would cost me so much to move, because maybe they're a restaurant and they'd have to set that up again. Or
but what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
So what do you have to lose if you go up to somebody and you say, hey, I want to renegotiate my contract? What do you have to lose?
Yeah, if they say no.
The worst they say is
no. So speaking of empty storefronts, do you have any ideas, opinions about what's going on in downtown Santa Barbara? And, obviously no easy fix.
There isn't an easy fix. I think it's really going to require – what's happening is happening all over the country, all over the world, and that's retail shifting. We sort of predicted it in 2000. It didn't happen right away, but we predicted it that that everything was going to move online. That made sense to move online. That doesn't mean everything will be online. Some things you're not going to buy a washer and dryer necessarily online, but things that make sense to move online will, and they have. So I don't think you want to fight that battle. I think you want to try to put yourself in. We should, if you're going into retail, make sure you're going into a retail that Amazon just can't take away from you. So you need to be adding some sort of service component that is hands-on and not, again, something.
Yeah, some businesses, if you go into Sephora, they're still packed because,
right.
Women cannot try their lipstick online, but with holographs, that's the future. I was reading an interesting article this week that in 100 years ago, they were fighting something similar because the catalog was invented.
I had not thought that.
Yeah, there was a little comic that somebody put in a paper where the guy comes into the shoe store and he's like, "Oh, my feet are killing me. I bought these at a catalog and I should have come here." That's actually how they were fighting it then.
That's actually a fantastic analogy because it's wholly applicable. It's not new. This kind of disruption feels really new to us, but it's not. Another one you could cite is specialty stores. So we had the Woolworths and the JCPenney's and the Five and Dimes, and then all of a sudden specialty stores came in and they sold just one line of goods better than a Woolworth and those companies went away because they couldn't, they had this bland kind of collection of product, and somebody that was only selling home goods or only selling electronics could do it better.
Or another one, I don't know if you've seen the TV series on Netflix, Selfridges, where Mr. Selfridge came to England and he actually had the women's clothes and gloves on display because before then you went up to the counter and you said, "Oh, I'd like to see some black gloves," and they brought out the box and he had everything out, and a real disruptor.
Forward thinking. Well, one of the businesses, of course, and I'd be remiss not to say it, there also happen to be one of our large sponsors, is Impact Hub. Just opening their third building here in Santa Barbara. So that co-working model is something that is taking over some of the retail spaces and doing very well.
Well, and what's interesting and what they're doing really well in is they have small little offices that people rent. So not just the people with the, a chair floating, but a lot of people are renting small offices.
It's a great resource. I had a meeting there on Thursday of last week. So, there's a group that I'm in, and we meet there once a month, and it works out really well. It's very centralized. I've talked to other people in town about how can the high-tech community kind of step up and and absorb some of that retail space. Part of the underlying problem is some of that space is owned by third-generation people in town that aren't really motivated.
And they're not negotiating, getting back to they won't negotiate.
And I think they're going to be forced to negotiate. So we'll see how long it takes. But at some point,